Are you a swimmer? It's so liberating. You just feel so good in the water. But sometimes our upper chest muscles get really tight through these repetitive motions that we do in the water. I'm remembering some of the first things I did in yoga because I came to yoga because my upper body was so tight from swimming. I'd like to share some of the things that I've learned that have really benefited this area. We'll begin by coming to our belly with our arms in a cactus pose. If you have blocks, by all means, use them. If you don't have blocks, no worries. You can use books or improvise in some other way, or don't use them at all. You'll still be able to do this action. So, as you lie in your belly with your arms in this cactus pose, my head is going to be slightly lifted because the audio might get affected if my head is on the floor. But have your forehead on the floor with your elbows about the same height as your shoulders, and press your elbows down as you lift your hands up. So as the elbows press forward, the hands lift up and down, and again up and down. Spread your fingers as you take your hands up and down and up and down. Three more. Lift them up and down and up and down and up and down. If you've got blocks, grab them. Take your blocks at your lowest height to begin with. And as you take your blocks to your lowest height, take your arms back to that cactus pose that they were in. Lift your hands up like you were doing. Now take the hands to the inside of the block. Again, keep your forehead down, even though my forehead is slightly lifted. Your forehead is down. Lift your hands up and over the block, clear the blocks, and take them to the outside of the blocks. Lift the palms up, take the hands to the inside of the block. Inhale, lift your hands up and outside of the block. Elbows press down, but hands lift up and over the block and down and over the block and to the outside of the block. Now, for many of you, this is going to be a little bit too easy. So you can take the blocks to the next highest height. And for some of us, this is not so easy at all. So if you have your palms um, like off the mat, if you have your hands pressing on the baby finger side so the palms face each other, this will make it a little bit more accessible to you as you lift your hands up and over the block and to the inside and up and over the block to the outside. And same thing, you lift your hands up and over the block and up and over the block. For those of us that can do palms down, same thing. Lift your palms up and over the block and to the inside. Lift the palms up over the block to the outside. Two more. Lift up and over and down and up and over and down. Inhale up and over and down. Inhale up and over and to the outside. Now take the blocks to the side. You won't be needing them right now, but come to the cactus pose again. And as you come to the cactus pose, have your left hand pressed down like a kickstand. Keep your right hand in cactus pose and turn yourself so that you are facing toward your left hand in this kickstand position. Now, this can be quite a stretch for many of us as you press your right elbow down You just got this nice stretch to the head of the arm bone there. The pectoralis stretches quite a bit. You can possibly bend your top leg and put the foot right behind you. So you just get this nice opening there. Now come back to your belly. You have your arms in the cactus pose again. I'm going to turn so that I can face the camera as I do this. So as you come to the opposite side with the palms facing down, same thing, your right hand as a kickstand, keep your left elbow pressing down, and if possible, you can turn yourself and maybe even park your foot. So as you just kind of absorb the fullness of the pose by breathing deeply to expand, just kind of notice for yourself, like what side feels a little bit more intense than the opposite side. Keep your breath full with your back foot pressing down. You keep on opening up the side. Press your elbow firmly. And come back to your belly. And lift yourself up to come to all fours position. From all fours position, take your feet over to the left, but keep your knees where they are. Look over. So you get a nice stretch to your neck. Look over your left shoulder as you expand your right side ribs nicely. So often when we think of the core, we just think of the front muscles. Like as you start to work the full circumference of the core, the side body that we're getting our attention to now, and especially in yoga, the back muscles, all are part of the core. So you bring your awareness through this pose just to the side body. Take your feet back to the opposite side. As your feet go to the right side, take your gaze over your right shoulder. Now take your breath to expand through the left side ribs. Keep that fullness to the left side ribs, that fullness to your breath. And come back to all fours position with your toes tucked under. Stretch, take your hands a giant step forward and draw your pelvis back. Release your head down. Have your ears and your arms line up. Keep your armpits lifted as you take more weight to your heels. Breathe in and breathe out fully. Just notice how now the right and the left side feel so nice and strong. As you're ready, lift yourself up to downward facing dog. So lift your pelvis high. Walk your hands back to your feet so that as you walk your hands back to your feet, you bend your knees. As you bend your knees, place your hands right above your knees, as if you're about to take a giant jump to the front of your mat. Reach your hands back, draw your pelvis down so you really get this nice strength in your legs. Now swing your arms up, open your chest nicely, and step your right foot forward. As you step your right foot, giant step forward, keep your back heel really lifted, and so that you can drop a little bit deeper in your front thigh. Come to that cactus pose again. So in this cactus pose that we were working on, spread your fingers, press your elbows forward, take your hands back, And now just tap the back of the head with the fingers. Reach your arms up from there. Open the chest so fully with the hands nice and wide apart, the fingers spreading. Release your hands down. Come to a plank position. Lower yourself to the mat. On the in-breath, draw your heart forward. Baby cobra with the elbows bent, the heads of the arm bones drawing back. Exhale, soften. Come through downward facing dog. To walk your hands back to your feet again. With your hands back to your feet, bend your knees. Place your hands right above your knees. Reach your hands straight back again, as if you're about to jump to the front of the mat. Now swing your arms up and take your hands nice and wide apart to come to Utkatasana. Step your left foot forward. Come to this high lunge. Bend your elbows to come to this cactus pose. Take your elbows forward. Take your hands slightly back to open your chest. Reach your arms straight back as you open up so fully. Exhale, take your hands down. Come to a plank position. Lower yourself to the mat. Inhale, draw your heart forward as you take the heads of the arm bones back, take the top of the throat back. Exhale, soften, come through downward facing dog. To walk your hands back to your feet again. And in the same way we've been doing, bend your knees a lot. Take your hands right above your knees. Reach your hands back with this nice openness to your chest. Now swing your arms up, root down to rise up out of the pose. Release your hands. Now let's come to a wide stance. As you step wide, look at your foundation nicely. Draw your right toes out. Bend your right knee. Take your arms in this cactus pose that we've been working on. And in this cactus pose with your fingers spread, this time press your hands as if an imaginary wall is closing in on you. So press your hands away from you, just pretending this wall again is moving in, you're pressing back. Now keep that action and just draw your baby fingers toward your head and reach straight back out again. And again, baby fingers are drawing to your head. You're reaching straight back out again. And again, fingers toward your head. You're pressing the wall and release your hands. Let's come to the opposite side. So line up your front heel with the back arch. Bend your knee. Take your arms in the cactus pose again and press the imaginary walls. Press firmly. You feel this nice engagement in the shoulders when you do that. And take your baby fingers to tap the back of the head and press again. And tap the back of the head and press. And again, tap the back of the head and press. And slowly come out of the pose. Now let's apply that action with a little bit more strengthening action to the side body. So as you turn your right toes out again, bend your knee, take your hands in this cactus pose, turn the palms away from you, press the imaginary wall, Take the baby fingers to the back of the head and draw your elbow down and lift up and draw the elbow down. Keep a nice opening in the chest and up. And one more time, draw down and lift up. Release your hands, parallel your feet, and turn your left toes out. Bend your knee, cactus arms again. Press the imaginary wall. Draw your fingers to the back of the head, the occipital ridge there. Draw over and to the side and up and over and up and over and up, and release your hands. We'll come to a seated position now. So as you come to a seated position, sit very tall here with your feet forward. Use your hands to press down to get the chest to open nicely. We spent quite a bit of time opening the upper chest in these poses. So keeping that, bend your right knee and place your left hand just to the outer knee. Don't go too far here. We've just done a lot of work to open the upper chest. So we'll keep that. Binding sometimes causes us to really contract in the front body. We're keeping the front ribs nice and open, the upper chest open, with your right hand behind you and supporting a nice lifting quality of the pelvic ridge. You open your chest and release out of the pose. Come to the opposite side. So with your feet forward, I'll just turn so that I can get a better view here. Bend your knee and keep your right leg solid with your left leg planted. Turn your heart toward the bent leg side. And same thing, the heads of the arm bones draw back, the top of the throat draws back. And just allow your breath to invite more fullness in your pose. You can release out of this pose. Let's come to sit one last pose here. And as you come to sitting pose, I like to use the blocks to sit on. You can sit cross-legged or however way you wish. And again, for swimmers with tight shoulders, this practice has a nice way to just bring awareness and certainly more mobility into the shoulder area. For many of us, with the elbows forward of the shoulders, with the right elbow under the left, hugging the hands in toward each other doesn't make that much sense. So you might want to just take your hands to your shoulders. But if you can, draw the backs of the hands together or even the hands in prayer positions. That just gives you this nice fullness, this nice understanding here of the back body as you draw the fingers straight up, the elbows are drawing slightly back so that you can get the heads of the arm bones to do that same drawing back action. Even though the form of this pose has you in such a different movement than we've been doing, you're still working the actions of taking the heads of the arm bones back, taking the top of the throat back. And you can release your hands and just pause here for a moment. Just kind of notice the effects on the shoulders before going to the opposite side. So as you take your elbows forward, again, the action is we want the heads of the arm bones to draw back, not reach forward like this. Heads of the arm bones back to take your left elbow under your right. And same thing, some of us, maybe just taking the hands back works. Others, we try to get the backs of the hands to press. Some of us can even come to a prayer pose in this position. And as you just breathe into it, you find this delight, even as, again, the position is having your elbows wanting to move forward, but you're trying to take the heads of the arm bones back to get more opening, the top of the throat back. It's kind of counterintuitive in this pose, but it's a wonderful pose for swimmers. It's really beneficial. And you can release your hands. Good. Lie on your back now. And as you lie on your back, have this time be a time to pause slightly as you lie on your back. Take the heads of the arm bones back. Turn the palms so the palms open, arms spreading out just a little bit more. Let your feet relax. And notice the difference after focusing on your shoulders for this short practice. Notice how open the upper chest feels. Bring your breath there to enhance that even more fully. As you find fullness in your breath, maybe some softness in your breath, most assuredly some ease in your breath. Feel free to stay here, just absorbing the actions of the practice. Or if you need to move on to your daily activities, feel free to do so. Thank you so much for joining this practice. Namaste.